This video will review some common hydraulic scenarios that may be entered when using JSLAT. The hydraulic routing of your site will depend upon your site's characteristics and your post-development site plan. NCDOT JSLAT can handle a wide variety of hydraulic or flow routing scenarios. NCDOT JSLAT uses drainage areas and flow routing to help estimate nutrient loads for a project site. Therefore, delineating the correct drainage area extents, identifying which area drains to a BMP, and determining whether drainage areas are in parallel or in series is a critical part of the process. The model will allow the user to divide a site into multiple, smaller catchments in order to accurately account for the locations of BMPs within the project area. A maximum of 6 catchments and 18 BMPs can be used for a given project site. Projects with more complex hydrology should be handled by entering a subset of the catchments in one copy of JSLAT and the remaining catchments in another copy of the model. After you've defined the project area and determined where any structural BMPs will be located, you'll need to delineate the full drainage area of each BMP, as well as any area that is uniquely associated with each BMP. That is, if your site plan includes multiple BMPs in series, the drainage area of the most downstream BMP will include the area of the upstream BMPs and may include additional area that drains directly to the downstream BMP. This step will assist you in identifying how many catchments should be used in a model and how to assign BMPs to catchments. In some cases, portions of your site will not be treated by a BMP. These areas that are not associated with the BMP will be documented in the total pre- and post-development areas on the Watershed Characteristics tab, but are not entered on the BMP Characteristics tab. The model allows for up to 6 catchments, and any catchment can receive drainage from one of the other 5 catchments. A catchment must contain at least 1 and no more than 3 BMPs. If multiple BMPs are included in a catchment, it is assumed the BMPs are in series. Projects where BMPs are hydrologically disconnected must be modeled using multiple catchments. The following 9 examples will showcase some common routing scenarios, roughly in order of complexity. This tutorial series will label BMPs using letters and catchments using numbers. Scenario 1 illustrates the simplest example of adding a single BMP to a project. Runoff from catchment 1 drains to BMP A. In scenario 1, the drainage area for BMP A corresponds to the area for catchment 1. Effluent, the stormwater that discharges from BMP A, leaves the project site boundary. The right side of the figure indicates where the land use area for BMP-A should be entered in the BMP Characteristics tab in NCDOT JSLAT. Later videos in the NCDOT JSLAT curriculum will more fully demonstrate how to enter the land use data. Scenario 2 has BMP-A and BMP-B contained within Catchment 1. In this example, BMP-B includes the BMP-A drainage as well as additional area that drains only to BMP-B. BMPs A and B are in series. Sometimes identical scenarios in the field can be entered multiple ways in NCDOT JSLAT. The site plan for Scenario 3 is identical to Scenario 2, but for Scenario 3, we've chosen to split the project site into 2 separate catchments. In Scenario 2, the area draining directly to BMP-B is entered in Catchment 1, while in Scenario 3, the area draining to BMP-B is entered in Catchment 2, and the option for Catchment 2 to accept outflow from Catchment 1 is changed from no to yes. Regardless of the approach, the results will be equivalent. However, given these 2 options, the preferred approach is generally Scenario 3 because it will allow for BMP-specific load accounting on the Development Summary tab. A single catchment in NCDOT JSLAT can contain up to 3 BMPs. If a project contains 4 BMPs in series, then the user must use at least 2 catchments. Here we see that BMPs A through D are in series. BMP A is contained in Catchment 1, and the remaining BMPs are entered in Catchment 2. BMP-B in Catchment 2 receives drainage from BMP-A, so the option for Catchment 2 to accept outflow from Catchment 1 is changed from no to yes. Note that this example site could be modeled using at least 2 but no more than 4 catchments. Scenario 5 is similar to Scenario 3 in that both contain 2 catchments, each with 1 BMP per catchment. In the Scenario 3 example, the catchments and BMPs are in series, while in this example, the catchments and BMPs are in parallel. Runoff from Catchment 1 drains into BMP-A, while runoff from Catchment 2 drains from BMP-B. Catchments and BMPs that are in parallel do not drain into one another. Scenario 6 is similar to Scenario 5, with the exception that the catchments are not contiguous. There is no change in how the land use data is entered in NCDOT JSLAT between Scenario 5 and 6. Scenario 7 is similar to Scenario 3, however the effluent from BMP-A in Catchment 1 is piped downstream to a point downstream of BMP-B. That is, the effluent from BMP-A is not treated by BMP-B. Therefore, when setting up Scenario 7 in the model, BMPs 1 and 2 are placed in separate, parallel catchments rather than in series, as shown in Scenario 3. Scenario 8 is similar to Scenario 5 in that the catchments are in parallel. Here, multiple BMPs are contained within each catchment. BMPs A and B are in series, as are BMPs C and D. Note that the column for BMP-D only contains the footprint area of BMP-D. Since the BMP-D drainage area is fully contained in BMP-C, BMP-B in Catchment 2 receives drainage from BMP-A, so the option for Catchment 2 to accept outflow from Catchment 1 is changed from no to yes. Scenario 9 represents a moderately complex site containing 4 BMPs and 4 catchments. Runoff from Catchment 1 drains to BMP-A. Effluent from BMP-A and runoff from Catchment 2 drain to BMP-B, so the option for Catchment 2 to accept outflow from Catchment 1 is changed from no to yes. Runoff from Catchment 3 drains to BMP-C. Runoff from Catchment 4 drains to BMP-D. The piped effluent from BMP-C merges with the effluent from BMPs B and D and discharges off-site. A later video in the NCDOT JSLAT curriculum will demonstrate how to enter data into NCDOT JSLAT using an example site similar to Scenario 9. This video reviews some common hydraulic routing scenarios and how they are entered into NCDOT JSLAT. Additional resources related to the NCDOT Green program are available at the NCDOT Connect site.